The scent of coffee wafted from the kitchen of a white house situated in a peaceful residential area on the outskirts of Boston. Judy Hamilton gazed out at the garden through the window, cradling her coffee mug in her hands. These tranquil morning moments were the most cherished part of her day. "Good morning, beautiful wife." A soft voice came from behind her, accompanied by warm arms around her shoulders. Her husband, Robert, kissed her cheek. As an architect, he had never missed this morning greeting since they wed 5 years ago. "Good morning, wonderful husband," Judy replied with a smile. "I just brewed some fresh coffee." "Your coffee is the best in the world," Robert said, looking at her affectionately as he took the cup. "Is Enid awake yet?" "Not yet. She stayed up late last night, making final adjustments to her wedding dress." Just then, footsteps hurried down the stairs. Their daughter Enid appeared in the kitchen, still in her pajamas. "Mom, Dad, good morning." Enid hugged both of her parents. It had been a year after her marriage when she started calling Robert Dad. "You'll be a bride soon," Judy said, lovingly stroking her daughter's cheek. "Are you nervous?" "A little, but I'm so happy," Enid replied, her eyes sparkling. "Mom, I'm so glad you married Robert. Watching you two makes me believe that marriage is something wonderful." Judy's heart filled with warmth. 10 years ago, her divorce from her ex-husband, Ronald Miller, had left a deep scar. Initially, her marriage to him, a successful lawyer, seemed smooth. However, as time passed, their differing values became clear. Ronald became consumed by his work and paid less attention to their home life. When Judy expressed her desire to be independent as a graphic designer, he showed no support. His remark, "It's not good for women to become too obsessed with work," was the final straw that led to their divorce. Despite her worries about raising 14-year-old Enid alone, Judy resolved to forge a new path. She met Robert 3 years later while working as an architect on an interior design project. Robert, who had never been married, loved Enid as if she were his own daughter. "I'm happy when you say that," Judy squeezed Enid's hand. "I'm so happy to have you and Robert with me. I can't wait to see you in your wedding dress." Robert smiled warmly. "Matthew is a fine young man, and you two will surely be happy." Enid's fiancé, Matthew, had been her boyfriend since college. A serious economics major, he had a reserved personality that contrasted with Enid's, but they understood each other deeply. "I want to be a couple like Mom and Dad," Enid said, respecting and supporting each other. Judy and Robert exchanged smiles, their deep trust contrasting with the loneliness Judy had felt in her first marriage. Robert wholeheartedly supported her work, and Judy encouraged his passion for architecture. "By the way," Enid said, her expression growing serious, "I sent an invitation to Ronald, too." Judy paused for a moment but quickly returned to a calm smile. "Of course, he's your real father. But are you okay? Won't it be awkward?" Enid asked anxiously. "Not at all. That's all in the past," Judy shrugged. She truly held no resentment toward Ronald. They had both been too young to understand what marriage really meant. Robert spoke up. "I've wanted to meet your ex-husband properly as well. As Enid's father, I respect him." Judy felt grateful for her husband's kindness. Many men would be uncomfortable with their wife's ex-husband's presence, but Robert was different. Because he loved Enid, he was trying to accept Ronald, her biological father. "It will surely be a beautiful wedding," Judy hugged her daughter. "Your happiness is our greatest wish." The wedding venue on the first floor of the historic Grand Plaza Hotel in downtown Boston was beautifully adorned with white roses and Casablanca lilies. At 3 p.m., Enid and Matthew's wedding ceremony was about to start. Judy sat in the front row, tears welling up at the sight of her daughter in her pure white wedding gown. "Beautiful," Robert whispered beside her, equally moved by his stepdaughter's special day. The ceremony went smoothly, and the couple vowed their eternal love. Seeing Enid's joyful smile, Judy felt reassured that her life choices had been right. The painful experience of divorce and meeting Robert might have been leading to this moment. Moving to the reception hall, relatives and friends congratulated the bride and groom. Judy scanned the venue, still unable to find Ronald. Just as she thought he might not come, she spotted a familiar figure near the entrance. Ronald, whom she hadn't seen in a decade, appeared a bit thinner but still maintained his polished demeanor. He looked around the venue before noticing Judy and walking toward her. His face bore deep wrinkles indicating the passage of time, but his eyes still sparkled with the same intelligence as before. "It's been a long time," Ronald said, approaching with a gentle smile. Judy felt tense for a moment, but quickly returned to her natural smile. "It really has been a while. Thank you for coming." "I couldn't miss Enid's special day," Ronald replied, his voice filled with fatherly affection. "She's become a beautiful bride. She looks just like you." Judy blushed. "Thank you. She resembles you too, in the intelligent ways." As they exchanged light conversation, Robert approached with a wine glass in hand. Judy turned to introduce her husband. "This is my current husband, Robert." However, just before she could finish the introduction, Robert's expression shifted drastically. His hand holding the wine glass trembled slightly, and his face turned pale as the blood drained from it. "Is he really your ex-husband?" Robert's voice shook. Judy was bewildered by his unusual agitation, so different from his usual calm demeanor. "Yes, that's right." "Why?" she asked, confused by her husband's reaction. Robert stared at Ronald with an expression as if he had seen a ghost. "What's your name?" he asked, trembling. "Ronald Miller," Ronald replied, looking confused. "But what's wrong?" Robert's wine glass nearly slipped from his hand. Judy hurriedly steadied it, noticing his hand was icy cold. "No, it can't be. This is impossible," Robert mumbled. "Robert, what's wrong? Are you feeling okay?" Judy worriedly placed her hand on his shoulder. "You're completely pale." Ronald sensed the seriousness of his situation and politely asked, "We're meeting for the first time, but have we met somewhere before?" No, that can't be," Robert stammered, eyeing Ronald from head to toe. The surrounding guests began to notice the unusual tension among the three. The cheerful atmosphere of the reception was gradually overshadowed by unease. "Robert, sit down," Judy urged, trying to guide her husband to a nearby chair, but Robert's gaze was fixed on Ronald's left wrist. "That scar," Robert said in a trembling voice, staring intently at Ronald's wrist. Ronald looked down at his own wrist and noticed the old scar there. "Huh, this old scar. It's from when I was a child." As Ronald spoke in confusion, Robert collapsed into a chair, his face displaying utter shock and bewilderment. "This can't be. This is impossible," Robert muttered, holding his head. Judy felt anxious about her husband's unusual state and gently rubbed his back. "Judy, he is actually—" Robert began, his voice shaking, then faltered. Judy held her breath, waiting for his next words. The noise of the venue felt distant. "What is it? Say it clearly." When Judy urged him, Robert took a deep breath and said, He's my brother." The venue fell completely silent for a moment. Ronald froze in shock, and Judy continued staring at her husband, unable to comprehend. "Brother, what are you talking about?" Judy's voice trembled. Robert continued, tears filling his eyes. "When I was 6, we were separated at the facility. I was taken in by foster parents, but Davy stayed at the facility." The color drained from Ronald's face as he too tried to piece together fragments of distant memories. "The scar on your wrist. It happened when you fell on your 6th birthday, right? I cried with you and the nurse treated it." At Robert's words, tears welled in Ronald's eyes. Memories from over 30 years ago flooded back vividly. "Could it be Robbie?" Ronald asked, his voice trembling. Robert looked up. "Davy, is it really you?" The two locked eyes and cried, filling the 30-year gap with emotion. Judy watched in disbelief as this incredible scene unfolded. Could such a coincidence truly exist, that the two men she had loved were actually brothers? "What have I done?" Judy's mind raced. Yet Robert took her hand and said gently, "Judy, it's not your fault. This is destiny. But this means Enid is." Various thoughts whirled in Judy's mind. Her daughter's father and her current husband were brothers. What kind of fate was this? Ronald wiped his tears and said, "My daughter has become my brother's stepdaughter." The surrounding guests began murmuring, unable to grasp the situation. Amidst this, Enid approached with her new husband, Matthew. "Mom, what's wrong?" "Dad, Father." She looked around at the three of them in confusion. The reception was temporarily halted, and Judy, Robert, Ronald, and Enid moved to a small conference room at the venue. Matthew, worried, accompanied them but understood when Enid said, I'd like to talk with just family for a moment," and agreed to wait outside. As the four of them sat facing each other, heavy silence filled the room. Enid looked around at her parents with a confused expression. "I can't believe it. Can something like this really happen?" she murmured, her voice trembling. "Dad and Father are brothers." Ronald sighed deeply. "Enid, I'm sorry. I've ruined your wedding." "No, it's not Dad's fault." Enid shook her head. "It's nobody's fault. I just can't wrap my head around this. 30 years. I've been searching for you for 30 years. I never imagined you were Judy's ex-husband," Robert said, holding his head. "I never forgot about you either, brother," Ronald replied, his voice trembling. "But your name had changed. I didn't know how to find you." Judy interrupted in surprise. "Your name changed?" Robert's expression turned bitter. "My real name was Robert Johnson. When I married you, I took your last name. I wanted to leave my past behind and start anew." "I see." Judy realized there were still many things she didn't know about her husband's past. Ronald began speaking, his voice trembling. "I stayed at the facility until I was 18. After my brother was taken in by foster parents, I was all alone. But I kept searching for you. I even hired private detectives." Tears filled Robert's eyes. "I searched for you too. I hired private detectives in the same way and contacted the facility many times. But they wouldn't give me any information about you. They said it was for privacy protection." Ronald's voice became tearful. "But I never gave up. I always believed that someday we would meet." The two stood and embraced as brothers for the first time in 30 years. The emotions they had suppressed for so long erupted all at once, and they cried openly. Judy and Enid also shed tears watching this miraculous reunion. "Brother, you're really my brother," Ronald sobbed. "Davy, my dear little brother," Robert replied, his face crumpled with tears. After a while, as the two calmed down, Enid spoke. "But now we can truly become a family." The three looked at Enid in surprise. Her face wore a peaceful smile that had overcome the confusion. That Dad and Father are brothers seems nothing short of destiny. Having two real fathers, there couldn't be anything happier than this. Robert took Judy's hand. "Thanks to you both, I was able to reunite with my brother. Because I married you, I could meet Davy again." Ronald nodded. "Judy, because I loved you, this miracle happened. Without you, we would never have reunited." Judy, with tears in her eyes, replied, "I'm happy too that the two men I loved were brothers. There couldn't be a greater miracle than this." "But what should we do?" Robert asked anxiously. "How do we explain this situation to everyone?" Enid stood up. "I'll explain. Today is my wedding day, and I want to tell everyone about this miracle." The four left the conference room and returned to the reception hall, where guests were watching them with concern. Enid took the microphone and stood on stage. "Everyone, I'm sorry for keeping you waiting. Today has become a very special day for me." The venue buzzed with murmurs. Enid took a deep breath and continued. "My wedding has become the place where separated brothers reunited." Gasps arose from the crowd. "We discovered that my father and stepfather are actually real brothers. Two people who had been searching for each other for 30 years were able to reunite through my family. There could be no greater blessing than this." At Enid's words, the venue was filled with deep emotion, and many guests were seen shedding tears. Robert and Ronald went up on stage and embraced as brothers for the first time in 3 decades. A loud applause erupted and continued for a long time. "From today, we are a true family," Robert announced into the microphone. "A special family with both blood ties and bonds of love." Ronald continued. "I thank my daughter Enid, my brother Robert who loves her, and Judy who brought us together." Judy also stepped up and took the microphone. "Love has a mysterious power to bring people together. Today I learned that there are bonds stronger than blood ties, and that true love never leads us astray." The venue was once again filled with applause. The guests were deeply moved by this incredible story. The reception resumed later than planned, but was filled with an even warmer atmosphere than before. Robert and Ronald sat next to each other, chatting as if making up for lost time. "Do you remember the song we used to sing together at the facility?" Robert asked. "Of course. You are my sunshine, right?" "You always sang it to me, brother," Ronald replied, his eyes misty. "Now I'll sing it to my grandchildren too," Robert laughed. "When Enid and Matthew have kids, will truly become grandfathers. Judy listened to their conversation, feeling the wonder of destiny once more. The fact that the two men she had loved were brothers had initially caused confusion, but now felt like a divine gift. When Enid and Matthew's first dance began, the venue was once again filled with a celebratory spirit. Judy danced with Robert while glancing at Ronald over his shoulder. He, too, was happily dancing with a female guest. "I'm so happy," Judy whispered to Robert. "Me too. Having you, having Enid, and having Davy back." A week after the wedding, Judy was in her living room, still basking in the afterglow of the unbelievable events. On the table lay a local newspaper article. The headline read, "Miraculous Reunion, Brothers Reunite After 30 Years at Wedding." The article had become a hot topic in the community, with many people sending heartfelt messages. "I still feel like I'm dreaming," Judy murmured. Robert, sitting beside her, smiled gently. "Me too. But this is reality. My brother has returned." His voice was filled with deep joy and relief. During this week, he and Ronald had been in touch almost daily, trying to make up for lost time. The doorbell rang and Ronald arrived. He had been invited for dinner as promised. Initially, there had been some awkwardness, but now he was warmly welcomed as a family member. "Good evening, Judy." "Brother," Ronald greeted, and Robert stood to embrace him. "Davy, thanks for coming. Judy made your favorite dish today." "You remembered." Ronald's face lit up with emotion. "The meatloaf I used to eat as a child." Judy smiled as she brought food from the kitchen. "Robert told me you always requested meatloaf on your birthday when you were at the facility." As the three sat at the dining table, Robert spoke. "Davy, there's something I want to tell you about when I was searching for you." Ronald leaned forward, intrigued. "The Johnsons, my foster parents, were really good people. But I thought about you every night. When I was 8, I asked Mr. Johnson to hire a private detective." Ronald was surprised. "At 8 years old?" "That's right, but no results came. I kept changing detectives and continued searching until I graduated high school. After entering university, I started investigating myself." Tears filled Robert's eyes. "When you left the facility at 18, I desperately searched for clues, but you had vanished as if you disappeared from the earth." Ronald's voice also became emotional. "I did the same. Right after leaving the facility, I went to many detective agencies to search for you. But they wouldn't give me any information about the Johnson family. We kept missing each other," Judy said gently. "But now we're here together. That's what matters most." As they ate, the two shared memories from their childhood. "Do you remember the secret code we made?" Robert laughed. "Of course. The one where we made letters with our hands, right?" Ronald smiled. "I can still do it." The two began making codes with their hands, and Judy watched with a warm smile. "Brother, actually, when I was opening my law firm, I thought about naming it Miller Johnson Law Office," Ronald confessed. "Really?" Robert was surprised. "But in the end, I made it Miller Law Office. I thought I didn't have the right to use the name Johnson. But in my heart, I always hoped someday I could do something with you, brother." Robert placed his hand on his brother's shoulder. "It's not too late. We have time." Just then, they heard the front door open. Enid and Matthew returned from their honeymoon. "We're home," Enid's bright voice echoed. "Welcome back," the three said in unison. When the newlyweds entered the dining room, Enid radiated happiness. "Dad, Father, and Mom, we had a wonderful time on our honeymoon. But we couldn't help missing our family," Matthew added with a smile. Enid kept talking about the family, especially the miraculous story of you two being brothers. "I'm glad you're here," Judy hugged her daughter. "Now our whole family is truly together." Enid sat at the table with a serious expression. "Actually, there's something I'd like to discuss with everyone." Everyone focused on her. "During our honeymoon, Matthew and I talked about many things. We want to cherish the bond of this special family in the future." Matthew continued, "We don't want to waste this miraculous encounter. We want to do something meaningful." "What do you mean?" Robert asked. Enid's eyes sparkled. "We want to establish a non-profit organization to support family reunions for those who have been separated. There must be many others who have had experiences like Dad and Father," Ronald said, moved. "That's a wonderful idea. I want to help too." "Me too," Robert quickly agreed. "Maybe I can contribute something with my architectural expertise," Judy looked at her daughter, tears in her eyes. You have such a kind heart. Mom, I learned the importance of love from all of you. Love never makes mistakes and guides people to the right place. Everyone nodded deeply at Enid's words. Then let's toast to the beginning of our new project. Judy brought a bottle of wine. As they raised their glasses, Robert said, a toast to family, and a toast to the power of love. To the power of love! Everyone echoed in unison. That night, the five talked late into the evening about past memories, present happiness, and hopes for the future. For the first time in his life, Ronald felt the warmth of a true family. Brother, I was lonely for a long time. But now it's different. I have a real family. Me too, Davy. Since you disappeared, there was a huge hole in my heart. It's finally filled. Judy watched the two brothers, reflecting on how her love had been able to reunite them. Love has the power to transcend time and distance. Enid and Matthew also understood that their marriage held meaning beyond just the union of two individuals. Their love would become the starting point for creating an even larger circle of love. As the night wore on, it was time for Ronald to head home. At the entrance, Robert embraced his brother. I can see you again tomorrow, right? Of course, brother. We'll never be separated again. After Ronald left, Judy and Robert held hands and gazed up at the starry sky. Can you believe something like this could happen? Judy whispered. It's because you were here. Your love brought us this miracle. The two quietly embraced. Love truly had the power to make even the most impossible things possible. And their love would continue to inspire hope in many people. True family, they understood deeply, was not just about blood ties but about the bonds of hearts that love and support each other. 1 year later, a sign reading Family Reunion Foundation was hung on the first floor of a new office building in suburban Boston. The nonprofit organization, established with Enid and Matthew at its center, had gained attention from across America in just 1 year. Today marks the 50th reunion we've made possible, Judy said while organizing documents at the reception counter. Using her experience as a graphic designer, she was in charge of designing the organization's promotional materials. Wonderful results, Robert said, bringing coffee. Using his skills as an architect, he was designing consultation centers to be set up in various locations free of charge. I never imagined your idea would make so many people happy. Ronald emerged from the legal consultation room with a satisfied expression. Today's client was a mother searching for the son she had given up for adoption 20 years ago. The clues are few, but I'm sure we can find him. During this year, Robert and Ronald's relationship had deepened remarkably. They spent time together every weekend, making up for the brotherly moments they had missed as children. Ronald used his legal expertise to handle the organization's legal support, and the two had become the best partners, both professionally and personally. Mom, I have amazing news. Enid rushed in excitedly. What is it? Judy turned around. A CBS documentary program wants to interview us. They want to feature our organization and Dad and Father's reunion on national television. Matthew added, the producer said our story should give hope to many people. It would be a great encouragement to separated families across America. Robert and Ronald exchanged glances and chuckled. Us appearing on television, Ronald said. As kids, we dreamed of being heroes together. But I never imagined it would happen this way. But if our experience can help someone, I'll gladly cooperate, Robert replied. Just then, the reception phone rang. When Judy answered, a woman with a tearful voice spoke. Hello, is this the Family Reunion Foundation? I saw the story about you two brothers on television. Actually, I'm also searching for my sister, whom I was separated from 35 years ago. Judy responded gently. It's okay. We'll help you. First, please tell us your story in detail. After hanging up, the five sat in a circle. This had become their new family meeting style. Today, the number of consultations our organization received exceeded 1,000, Enid reported. Of those, we've actually achieved 50 reunions, but we still have over 300 cases under investigation. Ronald gave a realistic perspective. The success rate isn't very high, but if even one more family can reunite, that alone makes it worthwhile. Matthew added while reviewing recent materials, we've also seen an increase in international inquiries. We're getting many consultations from families separated by war or disasters. There are limits to what we can do, Judy said. but we can offer hope. That's the most important thing. Robert stood and looked out the window. The sunset beautifully illuminated the city. A year ago, we reunited by chance. But now I think it wasn't chance. Judy's love, Enid's pure heart, and the threads of destiny guided us. Ronald also walked to the window. You're right, brother. Our reunion might have a greater purpose. Enid stood between her parents. The miracle that happened at my wedding was just the beginning. The real miracle is what we'll create from now on. The 5 joined hands in a circle. Judy suggested, let's make our family pledge to believe in the power of love, never lose hope, and continue reaching out to those in need. We pledge, everyone said in unison. That night, Judy and Robert looked up at the starry sky from their home's balcony. I'm happy, Judy whispered in her husband's arms. Having you, having Davy back, having Enid and Matthew, Robert replied. What more could I ask for? In the distance, they could see the lights from Ronald's house. He had also recently started dating a wonderful woman, a psychological counselor who had joined the organization as a volunteer, and the two were united by shared values. Love truly has mysterious power, Judy said. Our love has created such a large circle, and that circle will continue to expand. Robert nodded with conviction. The next morning's newspaper featured a special article about the Family Reunion Foundation. The headline read, The Chain of Miracles Born from Love. The article detailed how a small initiative that began with the reunion of one pair of brothers had become a beacon of hope for all of America. They continued to prove through their actions that true family was not just about blood ties, but about the bonds of hearts that love and support one another. They also demonstrated that love, transcending time and distance, would always bring people together. The bond that Judy's love had created had now become a powerful force, giving hope to countless people.